We're live. Welcome everybody to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And today I am chatting with Progressive Liberal. We're going to talk about his leaving religious belief behind. Obviously, this is what I do here. So why don't you sort of take us back to, the first sort of, when you started thinking this stuff was crap and,
Sure.
and what led you on your journey to becoming the atheist activist that you are today.
Sure. First of all, I just want to say thank you for having me.
Hey, my
I've
pleasure.
been looking forward to doing this for a while with you. So I didn't grow up Christian, but
Okay.
I was surrounded with a lot of religiosity, I guess.
Sure.
I grew up in the Pacific Northwest in a more
Me
rural
too.
area. Yes. So you know how it is. You meet somebody and either they're super liberal or they aren't.
Yeah, it's like one extreme or the other. There's like
right.
no
It really is that way. And when I was 14, I discovered Taoism. And
really?
yes, and have been Taoist since. But I had friends in high school that were not. And I had one friend in particular. I'm going to give him a name. Let's call him Jim. That is not his real name. Let's call him Jim.
All right.
Jim's mother was Shintoist. And he was very anti anything Abrahamic. So anti-Jewish, not anti-Semitic, just anti-Judaism. Right. I should be clear. Anti-Judaism, anti-Christianity, anti-Islam and everything. And would talk about it a lot. Would talk about why Abrahamic religions were dangerous. And I used to think it was kind of it was overblown, that he was, like, come on, it's not that bad,
Right.
And this was, freshman year, sophomore year, something like that. And then we lost touch. He went to a different school or something. And then I ran into him the summer between junior and senior year, and he was converted to an evangelical Christian.
Oh, wow.
Like, super evangelical. Was dating a girl, and they'd been dating for months at this point, 3 or 4 months. The only time they were allowed to hug was in front of her parents, with both of her parents there. And they weren't allowed no other physical contact besides that.
Wow.
The first time they kissed was at their wedding.
Really?
Swear to God.
Well, you don't have to do that. We don't believe it, remember?
Right. Something was with the ring. Like somehow his mother-in-law had to like make determinations about the ring, or he had to get his mother-in-law's approval for the ring. I don't remember what the specifics were anymore. And now he's a pastor living in like Iowa, a pastor of a church. And it started to affect me more, I think, as I went to college and started studying political science. And I didn't take math classes, I took logic classes, and a philosophy class, which I remember nothing of. I'm no philosopher for sure. But I really started to, in college, see the dichotomies and see the dangers that he had talked about. And so it didn't make this impression on me until like 5 years later. I told this story on stream the other night, but in either junior or senior year, I had one of those lab classes, you have like 10 students in a lab. And there was this girl who was a freshman or a sophomore. She was a transfer student. She transferred from like Tennessee or something. And the first day of the class, I was in there talking to one of my friends who's a lesbian. And we were just talking about her new girlfriend or whatever. And I'll never forget, this girl turned around. She goes, "Lesbian? I don't believe in lesbians."
What?
And we were like, she's right. Like that's one right there. And she's like, "Well, the Bible says that being gay is wrong." And
fucking bad.
I was like, what part of the, like, what scripture is that? And she goes, well, I don't know. My pastor told me.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So I think it was more of a strong thing when I was in college. And then I got out of college and I started to work for some nonprofits and lived in South Carolina for a year and a half. Where I'm back to South Carolina now. We just moved back here a month and a half or so ago. But I came here during the 2008 election to work for a PAC, a nonpartisan PAC. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so I lived here for about a year and a half because this is one of the early voting states for the general elections. So it's a good place to meet with all the candidates come through South Carolina, and they all come through. There's like a route they do through the state, and all of them do the exact same route.
No, you didn't run through past them all and milkshake them, did you?
no. The absolute
just checking.
The opposite. I went to a lot of campaign rallies and handed out stickers and tried to meet with candidates and stuff, or set up meetings with candidates.
I should have given you one of my stickers to give them.
You should have. You should have. And I also learned that I hated politics. I did. That experience convinced me that I didn't want to work in politics. But it was the first time that I was exposed to a community really based around religion. The Southern United States treats religion so differently. It's I remember when I first started working at the PAC, I was from out of state. I was the only person that was not from South Carolina or the South. And one of the women that I worked with said, well, what denomination are you? It wasn't, her question wasn't, are you a Christian? It was just, oh, so what denomination are you? And I was like, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, what denomination? Like, there's lots of different churches around here. So I was going to tell you, like, if you're Baptist, go to this church. If you're Protestant, go to whatever. And I was like, well, I don't go to church. I don't care about that. And she was just flabbergasted. She's like, what do you mean you don't go? Like, how does that work? How do you not go to church?
It's easy. You just don't go.
Right. And a girl that I started to date was studying for her real estate license. And the first day that she was in class, one of the places that the instructor suggested that the class look for new leads was at church, because the instructor just assumed that everybody in the class goes to church. So while you're just at church on Sunday, you should be talking to people about how you're now a real estate agent and you can sell and buy homes. There wasn't even the assumption at all that people could not go to church. And it was very different from where I lived because, my parents weren't secular really or Christian. They just didn't care. Like, it just never came up really. I asked my dad about a year ago, are you religious? And he's like, I don't know.
What do you mean? I don't know.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know.
It's sort of something you are or you
right.
are.
And I was like, well, do you believe in God? He's like, sometimes.
Sometimes, okay. When it's convenient.
Yeah, sure, when it's convenient. There's no atheist in a foxhole, right? That's the old joke.
Hey, God, I lost my keys. You want to? Oh, fuck, there they are, right there.
That poor guy. He gets so busy on Sundays, I hear. But yeah, so it's more about.
As long as he stays away from my beer, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. So I moved back to Tacoma because fuck South Carolina, and when I started to get more involved with local nonprofits that were doing a lot of activism, and it started during the Obama administration. So do you know who Alex Jones is? Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah, the name rings a bell.
Okay,
he's the guy that said something about gay frogs.
Yes, he's a crackpot conspiracy theorist. Yeah, okay, all right.
I know.
For anybody that doesn't know, he's a crackpot conspiracy theorist. But he had a radio show that he would broadcast on his website, so anybody could go and listen to it. And I would go listen to it sometimes when I was doing certain things. Like, I was not any kind of regular listener at all. I would just go look at his stuff, and he would also do a lot of YouTube videos. Excuse me, like little mini shit documentaries. They're shit. They're just awful. But I would watch them because they were funny,
Entertainment value.
Right. And I started to notice during the Obama administration that people like Alex Jones, and there are lots more, were using conspiracy theories to radicalize people. And they were using Christianity and religion to radicalize people because they'll start with a small conspiracy theory. So if I can get you to believe that 9/11 might have been an inside job, right? You're going to be more likely to believe that we didn't land on the moon. And then you're going to be more likely to believe that the earth is flat. And if I can convince you that the Bible says any of these things, or that there's a prophecy in the Bible, a Bible code that seems to point to these things being conspiracies, well, now I've got you doubting your own government. Now I've got you not believing in your own president. Now I've got you libertarian, or I've got you anarchist, and you're radicalized and you hate everything. And it's much easier to get you to believe these outlandish things that, you know, Trump doesn't lie, or that, you know, the deep state CNN shit is real, if I can get you to believe these other conspiracy theories. So my anti-atheism, I'm sorry, not anti-atheism, my anti-religious atheist activism is born out of trying to debunk these political conspiracies, because the political conspiracies are so dangerous to the system. And
won't argue with that.
If we can, so it's like a product. It's like, my goal is to make sure that people don't think that late-term abortion actually exists. My goal, or partial birth abortion, like those are just nonsense phrases. But it's also mired in religiousness, because if God says that a fetus is a baby, then it doesn't matter what my argument is. So my atheist activism is tied to my political activism. But it's because this conservative conspiracy entanglement, because they're so intertwined, it just happens. Like I don't know how people who are progressive activists are also Christians. I don't understand. And they're out there, and I meet them, and I'm like, I don't know how you do it. I don't
explain this to me.
And they can't. They're like, well, you know, God, you know, the book is old, and, you know, lots of people contributed to it. And so it's, you know, at some points it'll get a little contradictory, because this part was written, you know, at this time, and then hundreds of years later, this part was written. So we just don't worry about the slavery. You know, yeah, you can beat your wife.
Do they even realize that, like, the Enume Elish or the Bhagavad Gita are even older?
I'm sorry, they're static. Did you see? What did you say? I'm going through a tunnel.
Oh, are you? Yeah, more like tunnel vision.
Right. So I do come across people who are both progressives and Christians. I don't understand it, but whatever. Sure. And, you know, the problem is that I'm trying to fight the whole war, and the moral majority, the compassionate conservatives, have used religion as a weapon for a long time to radicalize their agenda. And so those of us on the left have to be radical, I don't know, activists.
What you drinking?
Monster.
Oh, geez,
Yeah.
There's no non-alcoholic kind.
There you go. That's what I'm drinking.
Yeah, you know that's the symbol of 666. Have you heard that bullshit? That video?
No, wait, this is the M thing?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's like it's supposed to be a what do they call them? Hang on, let me recollect my Hebrew language here. Aleph, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav. I think they're Vav or whatever, or something, which is like 666, or I don't know. Fucking, there's some crazy ass shit on YouTube where this lady's going on about that.
You know, my wife is Satanist, and she is, and her birthday was yesterday. So I got her a Baphomet chalice. I got her a Baphomet coloring book. I got her the Unholy Bible. So I am a loving, supportive husband. That's what you do for your Satanist wife on her birthday.
I have a satanic Bible around here somewhere.
Yeah, I was reading passages from it on last night's stream. On Sunday nights, she takes over my channel and she does Satanist Sundays.
Cool.
So yeah, she sits in the chair and she does whatever she wants to do. I mean, it's her show. And I was reading stuff last night for her birthday from the Satanic Bible.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, she's cool. She's a pretty cool chick. She's pretty awesome.
Well, I imagine so. It's probably one of the reasons you married her.
It was in the top 3. It was in the top 3.
It was in the top 3.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, now that we sidetracked, carry on.
Oh yeah. Okay. So it really also led to the decision to create a YouTube channel, which was, it took me about 2 years. I wanted to do it for about 3 years, I guess. But it took me 2 years to put together the courage. I started my channel in February of this year. And when Trump got elected, and I saw there was this nationalist thread running through the Western world. The same thread that got Trump elected is the thread that got Brexit passed in the UK. The same people that will argue that the immigrants from South and Central America are bringing disease and death will also argue that France will be a majority Muslim country in 2040 or whatever the stupid argument that is nonsensical. Mm-hmm. But it's the exact same argument, and it's the same thing. Brown people bad, Muslim people bad, Arabian people bad.
Yeah.
So
that's ridiculous.
It is. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I remember I made this folder on my computer, which led to being the first notes for my first big video on my channel. And it just, I called the folder The Evidence, and it was just like news stories and stuff about election fraud and gerrymandering. And at first I was planning on writing a book, but then I was like, well, I don't like, who's going to read my book on my theory about like all this shit happening. And then Seth Anderson wrote his book, and it was basically the book I wanted to write. And I was like, well, I guess I won't do that then. And I was watching someone on YouTube. I was watching, I think, Godless Engineer one night. And I was like, why don't I just make a channel? Like, I should just make my own channel and like talk about politics. Because the other thing that annoyed me was I would go into people's channels and they'd be like, no religious or political talk. And I was like, but political talk's like the most important talk that we can have. Like we have to be able to talk politics with each other. No matter what, we have to be able to. And so I decided I was going to make a channel that was all about politics. Like that was it. That like the only thing we were ever going to talk about was politics. Not that I'm the first to do that, of course. There's lots of channels like that, but I wanted my own spin on it. And then the next thing I knew, I was literally on Godless Engineer's channel doing a collab video with him. Mm-hmm. And it was like, well, this worked, I guess.
John's awesome.
He's a fantastic person. I love him and Casey to death. I love them so much.
They're good people.
They really are. So, I think that I think when people think about let's talk politics, they think that it's like it's isolated somehow. Mm-hmm. But anytime you see the big political people on the left on YouTube and Twitter, they're all atheists, like Kyle Kulinski, David Pakman. I honestly can't think of any. There's probably one or two somewhere, but I can't think of any off the top of my head that are Christians. Like Cirrus, Pig Puncher, Vosh. I mean, none of them are. There's no Christians. There's no Abrahamic religions at all in any of those people that I just mentioned. Right. So there's something to be said about that. The left is the politics of atheism, and I saw somebody. There was a Twitter thread about that about a month and a half ago.
Can we really say that though?
Oh, well, that's what I'm getting to. Okay. So I think that there is something to it.
I would agree.
At the same time, I am hesitant because my goal is not to what's the word? Isolate anybody, I guess. I think that the left wins by being more inclusive than the right, because the right is already for white male Christian men.
Primarily, yes.
And their fans.
Yeah.
So the left wins by inclusivity. The problem that I see us have is that we're so inclusive sometimes that we get a lot of people with different ideas about the same topic, and then we get mad at each other.
Yeah, we end up allowing a few nut jobs in now and again.
Right.
Because atheism doesn't always equate to skepticism, and there's a lot of people that are still like the woo shit, right? So
sure. We did this show not too long ago about skepticism and about when it's right to be skeptical of skeptics, and why it's important to hold prominent members of the skeptic community to task.
Yeah, I agree.
And we talked a lot about Lawrence Krauss. Lawrence Krauss is an unabashed defender of Jeffrey Epstein, who gave him lots of money even after Jeffrey Epstein was convicted in 2008. Like in 2015, he was giving hundreds of thousands of dollars to Lawrence Krauss, and Lawrence was saying, "Yeah, I think he's misunderstood." And it was like, Lawrence, no, he's not.
He's not misunderstood, Lawrence.
No, there's nothing misunderstood. But we did a whole hour on it. Like, if you want to go see it, go look for it on the channel.
Well, Krauss himself has charges alleged against him as well.
Yes, he does. And we talked about that too. But there are still people who will say, well, Lawrence Krauss is such a smart guy, and smart people sometimes they have these weird, wacky ideas, and we shouldn't be so hard on him. And it's like, no, I think that we have to be harder on him.
Mm-hmm.
And
because of those things, because he's in the public eye.
Right. And because so many of us look up to him. We also talked about Neil deGrasse Tyson on that same show. And when Neil deGrasse Tyson, after one of the mass shootings, he put out this tweet that was like, oh, well, more people die in car accidents than mass shootings. Mm-hmm. And
which is true, but that's kind of insensitive to the whole mass shooting thing.
Right. And one of my favorite responses to it was a guy saying, so you're on a plane and the plane's going down, you feel a tap on your shoulder. It's Neil deGrasse Tyson. He says, listen, statistically, it's way more dangerous to drive to the airport.
I think his intention behind that was not to be so fearful because they're few and far between.
No, and like I get the intention. I do. But at the same time, it's
not trying to be an apologist for him, but you know what I mean.
Sure, absolutely. And I agree with you. I think you're absolutely right. But at the same time, we have to, people talk about outrage culture and cancel culture and all this stuff. Sure, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, we have to hold everyone to account, especially the prominent. And when somebody prominent fucks up, we absolutely have to be honest about it.
Yep. The timing on that statement was just bad.
It was bad. And he was right. He was absolutely I agree with the sentiment, but not right now.
Yeah.
Wait a little bit.
Yeah. Give it a while. Yeah.
Right. It was like Rationality Rules when he came out with his video. Like, I understand what he was trying to say. Mm-hmm. I get what he was trying to do with that statement.
Well, he got quite a bit wrong too, and he knows that.
Sure. No. I'm talking about the intention. His intention was here's a middle ground that we could all stand on. And I get that. But the problem is that, like you said, the underpinnings were incorrect. He was basing his assertion on false information. Yeah. So I think that, I'm not a fan of canceling people except in extreme circumstances. I don't want to live in an echo chamber. And, there are people who are on my chat all the time. Tony Designs is in my chat all the time, who disagrees with me politically on a bunch of stuff.
This chat right now.
Absolutely. But I consider Tony one of my biggest fans. He's there for everything that I do. Tony is a fantastic person, and I will, we've gotten into it lots of times. So it's not about an echo chamber. It's not about creating a space where only people that agree with you are allowed. It's about,
which is what EOT did.
exactly. It's about creating a space where, like, there is someone that I know. I'm not going to call them out. They've been public about their opinion, but I just don't want to call them out. So I'm just going to say a person.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Who doesn't believe that gender fluid or non-binary people exist, that just believes it's made up fantasy. I still consider this person my friend. I've been open about how, listen, I completely disagree with you. You are 100% wrong. Gender fluidity and non-binary people absolutely exist. And you're just fundamentally incorrect. But I haven't canceled that person. I'm not writing that person out of my life because they have this one opinion. Even if it's an opinion that I don't think that opinion is transphobic. I think it's right on the line of being transphobic. But it's not, you know, as bad as like a true transphobic thing. Like, you know, transphobic people shouldn't have these types of jobs or something.
Like anyone that is vehemently against trans people would be transphobic. I think that stuff like what Woodford did, or maybe making a statement that you're a little bit on the ignorant side, is more like trans ignorance rather than phobic. You know,
agreed. I completely
phobic means fear. It's like there's no fear here. It's just a lack of knowledge on the subject that you're making these assertions based on.
I agree completely. And I think that's I think it's important to, you know, if somebody's being Lawrence Krauss and defending Jeffrey Epstein, they deserve to be canceled. But when somebody says, listen, I don't think that gender fluidity is a thing, or that non-binary, that someone can be non-binary.
That's just stupid.
It's just stupid. And I don't think they deserve to be canceled for that. That's the kind of thing that you can change their opinion. But when somebody's willing to defend Jeffrey Epstein after his arrest and take a bunch of money from him and say, oh, I don't feel that bad about taking money. It doesn't bother me at all. It disenfranchises his victims. Mm-hmm. And so I think that the kind of community I want to create is inclusive and allows for different opinions, as long as no one's hurting anybody with those opinions. Mm-hmm. Hopefully this person I'm talking about can meet more gender fluid people or more non-binary people and better understand them and understand why they do exist. That's my hope.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best way to get over ignorance like that, is to actually meet people like that and get to know them a little bit, right?
I agree.
And you realize, hey, wow, so they have this different idea of themselves that I'm used to, but they're fucking decent people.
Right. And, you know,
being like me.
Exactly. You know, I don't cancel somebody for being religious either. Even if I think it's completely nonsensical.
Unless you're S.J. Thompson.
Well, okay.
He blocked me, so.
Right. SJ is canceled for being SJ, not for being religious. I mean, Digital Hammurabi is one of my favorite channels. Mm-hmm. You know, Josh and Megan are fantastic people. I don't think that their God exists. But I think that I would love to hang out with them and like have a beer or something. I think they're cool people. I'll
be honest with you, dude. I think Josh is on the fence.
Do you?
Don't know so much about Megan, but I think Josh is on the fence.
Yeah. I don't know. I love them very much. I mean, I've had like one interaction with them on Twitter. I mean, I've never had like direct contact with them, but you know, they always come across great. I reached out to them one time when I was having an argument, and Megan got back to me within like 5 minutes with like 8 Bible verses that totally explained this. I mean, it was fantastic. I was like, oh my God, you were the greatest person ever. Thank you. But you know, I would have them on my show. I would talk politics with them. You know, I would sit down and have a beer with them. I think that it's important to cancel some people, and it's important to be inclusive of the vast majority of people. I think it's very rare that you need to cancel or be truly outraged about a person. It is fundamentally constructive to attack ideas. It is fundamentally constructive to defend your own ideas when they are attacked, but it should never be a personal thing.
That's right.
So, I think that the issue is that a lot of that cancel culture on the right is spawned through or because of religion. I think that too often conservatism ties itself so tightly to religion that, at least in the United States, that it gets wound up in it, and you can't escape, because any escape doesn't believe in God anymore. They did it with slavery. I mean, they defended slavery with the Bible. They said that the Bible not only gave them permission, not only gave them dominance, but said that it was up to the white man to take care of his African slaves, because the Bible said, like, the Bible told them, like, God told me that you have to be my slave, which is insane to us in the 21st century. But in the 1700s,
it was insane even then.
Sure, no, it was. And John Brown.
These are people that were abusing a belief system to own other human beings, and that will always be wrong. I don't give a shit what fucking century you put it in.
No, you're right. I didn't say that right. I'm just saying that.
I know, but I'm just solidifying that.
Right, absolutely. And the Bible is really, really clear about that slavery is fine. I mean, there are multiple passages where the Bible defends slavery, it talks about slavery and how you should handle your slaves and
mostly
when you should sell them.
Leviticus, Deuteronomy, those ones.
Right, absolutely.
That sort of thing.
Absolutely. So I think that what happens is conservatives tie their politics to their religion so tightly that before you know it, they're wanting to move. That they're supporting Donald Trump moving the embassy in Jerusalem because it will hopefully help bring about the end of the world. Because hopefully Jesus will come back.
I hate to break it to them. Even if they do move it to Jerusalem, that's not going to happen. Oh yeah, that's right. They did.
Yeah.
But that's we're still here.
I know. God's late.
Yeah. Maybe he's busy. He's off in some celestial 7-Eleven buying a fucking God Slurpee.
He's going down to the store for God cigarettes.
Maybe he's got some. Maybe he got too much into the God weed, and now he's just laying on the couch playing video games, divine video games.
Absolutely. I want to play God's version of Mario Brothers.
Right?
Could awesome. God design a game that he couldn't beat?
Oh man, we have to use that one.
Yeah.
Well, he's omnipotent, but if he did that, then he wouldn't be omnipotent animore. So he's probably going to say no.
That's my favorite thing about Taoism. So I try to explain this to people about Taoism, that Taoism, the Tao literally means the way or the path, and it's the path towards enlightenment.
Yes.
But Taoism teaches that the book, the Tao Te Ching, talks about the sage, the master, the enlightened one, the one who knows all and who is all wise. It also teaches that possible? That's what I was about to get to. It also teaches that it's literally impossible to be that person. And that if anyone were to ever become that person...
Talk about having unachievable goals.
Right. Well, it says if anyone were to become fully enlightened by the Tao, then the path they walked wasn't the Tao, and what it is that they found isn't enlightenment. Like, it's literally impossible. I love the book because the book's like you can do all this shit. It's not gonna you're not gonna get enlightenment. It's not possible, but you should still do all of this shit because you'll be happier.
No, I'll be fucking frustrated because I can't hit the end for some reason.
Right.
It's like what's that expression? Infinite regress, almost.
Yes.
It's like having mirrors upon mirrors, and then that image that goes on forever. You'll never get to that end mirror, man.
Right, like Rey in The Last Jedi when she's doing the thing with her hand in front of the mirror. Yeah, but I think that Christianity would be well served. The only passage in the Bible that I sort of know, and I only sort of know it, like I can't quote the scripture or anything, but Jesus is with his disciples. I have no idea what book it is or anything. I just remember the story. Jesus is with his disciples, and they're hanging out with some Pharisees. And the Pharisees are challenging each other to talk about the best commandment and what the best commandment is. And they're tearing at their robes, they're gnashing their teeth, and they're saying, oh, the most important commandment is this and is that. And somebody turns to Jesus, one of the Pharisees, and says, so what do you think? Which is the best, the most important commandment to you? He says, well, there's two of them. Put God first and love your neighbor as yourself. And all on these hang all the law and the prophets. And the Pharisees are like, this fucking ass. What are you talking about? That's not an answer. You have to give us one. Just like, no, it's that. It's two. Just love each other and love God, and you'll be fine.
No, we can combine them into one big one.
Yeah, we'll just make one big. And, if Christianity actually adhered to that, Christians would be progressive as shit. They wouldn't be putting any kids in cages. No. They wouldn't be electing Donald fucking Trump. They wouldn't be defending people who are accused of sexual assault, credibly accused. They wouldn't be doing any of that stuff because they would actually. Sorry, one of my fish was swimming backwards and was like, "Am I seeing this?"
Oh, I've had fish do that before. My Oscars used to do that actually.
Yeah, I've got rainbow sharks, which are they're kind of cod. But I looked over and it was swimming backwards. And I was like, "Wait, what?" I've never seen it swim backwards before. Sorry, that really threw me off.
The end is near.
The end is near, right?
The fish are swimming backwards. The birds are falling out of the sky.
I knew this. I knew that they could swim upside down, but for the first time today, I actually saw one of them swimming upside down, which was it's just interesting because you're like, "Are you okay? Are you fine right now?"
Not a lot of room in there. They probably get bored.
I guess. Well, I think the one that's doing that is the female. So they're finally getting big enough that I can sex them, and she's kind of gray, and the rest are black. So I'm pretty sure she's the female.
Getting a little frisky.
I think she's getting a little frisky. Yes,
inviting. We'll call it.
I think that's what's going on.
I don't know women in my life like that.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't remember what I was saying now because the fish that really.
We're talking about the Christians and the politics and Trump and all that stuff.
Right. So if they actually adhered to only those two commandments on a day-to-day basis and in their politics, we would have universal health care.
Yep.
We would, the Social Security and social programs would be funded far before the defense budget was. The only things that were funded in the defense budget would be money for housing. No one would be building any walls. There would be a lot of humanitarian aid to South and Central American countries to make sure that they are places where people don't want to leave. One of the things you see from the conservatives and have since, I don't know, the mid-20th century is the conservatives do not want us to spend money policing the world, right? You hear that all the time. We aren't the world police. We're not going to police the world. And it's like, okay, well, what you have right now is a refugee crisis in South and Central America. And here's what they need down there. They need food. They need medicine. They need education. Mm-hmm. If we were to work our asses off for 20 years and provide those three things for Central and South America, we would not have refugee crises because they would be great productive places to live. And then we wouldn't have to worry about anyone. I'm not even worried about it, but I'm just saying for those that are worried about it, they wouldn't have to worry anymore about people coming in to our country from those countries. Mm-hmm. But instead, all of these conservatives, their answer is a wall. Just keep them out. No, they just can't come here. That's the answer is for them to go back home. It's like, no, that isn't an answer.
I was trying to I sent Trump a couple of tweets. This is a long time ago now. Says, if you're going to build a wall, just build a wall around the entire country.
Yeah.
Just keep everyone out. And that way, all of us Canadians can start taking buckets of water and start filling up.
Absolutely.
Of course, I tell all you guys to get your asses out of there. But.
Sure. And we would. Don't lock me up here, up in here with these people, please. But it is far more important, and some compassionate conservatives have said this over the years, but building bridges is always more important than building walls. Bridges have far more functions. You can travel across them. I saw this tweet. I want to say it was today. It might have been yesterday. Maybe it was last night. In Amsterdam or Sweden or something, when they build bridges now, or overpasses, excuse me, they make them nice and wide, and they have to have them every so often on the road so that animals can go from one forest to the other. So they've got a natural path to cross over. And someone responded
they're
and
grass
said,
covered and shit too.
Right, they're grass covered. There's plants so that birds and squirrels or whatever have a safe path to get from one forest, a deer or whatever, so that they're not in the roadway. Like, you're not hitting deer because the deer have a natural path to cross the road. Can you tell I grew up in a rural community? I'm thinking about hitting deer. Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, but I saw somebody respond and say, well, what this is going to do is that diseases are going to pass from one forest to the other, just like when refugees come in and give us all their diseases. And it's like,
what? Yeah. You there, just sit down and shut up until we talk to you.
Like, the animals could pass before. It's just that this is a safer way for them to pass, first of all. Second of all, what the fuck are you talking about? Third of all, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like the arguments that they make are, and they do this on purpose, are so nonsensical that they're hard to refute because they're nonsense. It's like when a flat earther says, well, gravity doesn't exist, that's just density. And you're like,
you require gravity for density, you fucking idiot.
Yeah. Like, why does this book fall down instead of up?
Well, if there was no gravity, it wouldn't necessarily fall up. It would just float there.
When Novardia came on my show, the first thing I asked her is, what's it like living upside down all the time?
Does the blood rush to your head a lot? Or?
Yeah.
Is the toilet flush the other way?
It does. Well, I've always, that's what.
See, they're telling me that it doesn't.
I've never been to the Southern Hemisphere, but I've always wanted to go there and flush a toilet just to see it.
I've been there. And I was in, where was I? Peru, I think, and the toilet flush normally there.
Huh.
So.
There was this guy, this is a while ago, but.
Coriolis effect or something they're calling
No. Yes, the Coriolis effect, yeah. But there was this guy on, I saw him on CNBC. This is years ago. It was like 6 years ago. He was trying to invent a toilet that would make the water go in the other direction for when people visited his hotel in Australia, so that people from the Northern Hemisphere would feel at home because their toilets would go in the same direction as when they're in the United States. I was like, I can't tell if he was a troll or if he actually was trying to invent this toilet.
Apparently somebody did.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing something about that some time ago. But we do have Australians in the chat.
Oh, how is it living upside down all the time, guys?
We have Mark Caesar.
Oh, good. Hi, Mark.
And he's already said it has far more to do with the design of the toilet than the Coriolis effect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I'm a political scientist. It's not even it's a liberal arts science. Like, don't come at me with math.
It's bathroom science.
Right.
And we also have Santa Claus, who's in there, who's also in Australia.
Yes.
And mind you, I don't think he cares. I don't think he cares. For
sure. Who would?
That's racist, mate. That was grumpy old Dave. Another Aussie. There you go. There's lots of them in there.
I love you guys. I'm absolutely full of jokes. I of course am just kidding.
I got to go to Australia so I can just annoy the shit out of everybody in the chat that's from Australia.
I've always wanted to go, and then I've always wanted to go to New Zealand too, just because I saw the Lord of the Rings movies when I was like 16.
To see that location. I want to go in a Hobbit house.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. Come on now.
I'll have to duck, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm short enough. I think I could scrunch down.
Well, I'm 6'4", so yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, I'm like 5'9" and a half. So I think I could scrunch myself down and fit in there. Okay.
Well, Grumpy Old Dave's our resident troll, like little guy. So
Right.
he could do the tour.
Yeah, that'd be great. Like I could just follow him along and
Aussies rule.
So,
Yes, Aussies are awesome.
they are. I love Aussies. I genuinely do. I joke, but you guys are some of my favorite people.
Oh, hell yeah. See, I look at them like the Canadians and Americans, really, if you think about it. We're the ones that left the Commonwealth, we'll say. Like,
right.
fuck you, monarchy. Of course, Australians were more prisoners than they were.
Right. Yeah. They didn't really have much of a choice.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do a video for a while that compares the Australian representative government with the UK representative government with the American representative government and the Canadian representative government, all four. Like a comparison to say, here's how the parliamentary system works versus the representative republic versus, but I haven't. I'm going to, though. At some point, I'm going to make that video because I'm fascinated. What? I'm missing it. I don't have the chat open.
You probably can, if you look to the side.
Where?
It should be. You should have a banner there that says comments, private chat.
Live comments. Oh, okay. It was on private chat, so live comments. Now I can see it.
Yeah.
Forward a ticket to Australia.
That's exactly what I was laughing at.
Absolutely.
See, we got this weird sort of, mental connection there. So you know exactly what I was laughing at.
Absolutely. I love it. Oh, wow. I can actually see
another Aussie just stepped into the chat. It's like your fucker's ears are ringing or something.
Right. Nacha, I was going to sleep last night. I was up late. I couldn't fall asleep. And I looked down at my phone dings and Nacha was playing, I forget what video game it was. And I was like, shit, why are you playing this at like 2:30 in the morning? Because I want to fucking watch Nacha play this game, but I have to go to sleep. I was mad.
I know. He does that all the times when I'm already asleep. And then I wake up and I wake up in the morning and I'll see, his videos of playing games and I'll just listen for a while at work. Oh my God, I summoned Nacha.
Well, Tony, your powers are well documented and they are powerful, and I appreciate you.
Nacha says he's sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm playing late. I'm playing video games when it's normal time for me.
When it's normal time for me. Listen, we're going to need you Aussies to get on our schedule, please. Yeah. Snap.
I just managed to book a Deconversion Stories with Renevelation or Renevelation.
Yeah.
I mentioned that last night, actually, and on Twitter. And we were hammering back and forth about how to make this work because he's literally 9 hours ahead of me. He's
right
in Germany, right? So anyways, we did decide, and I'm going to have to do a special edition.
Yep.
Because he's with his dad a lot on Saturdays, and they hang out pretty much on the weekends together. So basically, it ended up being, hang on, let me see if I can find it. We had to do a Sunday. So I'm not going to do a Saturday that weekend. I'm going to do a Sunday, and it's going to be at 9 a.m. my time. So it's a reasonable time for him. So that's not coming up till November 3rd, guys. So you got a little ways before.
I had to do that when I interviewed Sarah Michelle.
Yes.
I did the interview because I was still on the West Coast then. And so it was like 7 p.m. for me, but it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon for her the next day or something.
Yes. I'm going to have to do the same thing, I think, with her as well.
Yeah.
She's already agreed to come on. I just haven't really... I've been flooded with requests to come on the show. So
she's fantastic. She's one of my favorite people.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, she's exquisite. And hi to Tony, and hi to Maya, and hi to IQ, and Casey, and Angie.
And everybody.
Now I can see all of you. I didn't know that you were here. Are you guys hearing that background noise?
A little bit, but it's so in the background that it's irrelevant, really.
Good. It's actually, what's nice about this microphone, it's actually happening about 4 feet away from me. But that's why I love this microphone.
Oh, so it doesn't pick it up that great. That's good.
There's someone loud and 3 years old-ish a few feet away from me.
3 years old-ish.
And being 3 years old-ish. That's okay. It's all right.
What else?
Singing karaoke
what else
is what's
should
going on right now.
Oh, is that right? Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, she really is. Yes.
That's adorable.
Yeah, it is. It's okay.
Is there anything else you want to talk about, or should we just jump right into an after party, or what should we do?
So, can I show myself real quick?
I was going to do that anyways before we took off, but yes, absolutely.
I'm going to show real quick.
4 years out, my friend.
So every weeknight, Monday through Friday at 9 p.m., we're live. We go live on YouTube, Mixer, Twitch, and Periscope all at the same time.
Wow.
Yes, and so on Mondays and Tuesdays, it's me and my wife, Batsy. Huh?
Are you using StreamYard? Because they do that. They can platform you to everywhere.
No, we use Restream, but it does, it does it the same way. So that's me and my wife, Batsy. We do that. We go at least from 9 to 12 on Mondays and Tuesdays. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 9 p.m. is the ProLib Show. That's me and Mikey Famine. And we have some sort of political topic that we're talking about. The other night we talked about Andrew Yang's UBI on Friday night,
right on.
For instance. And then after that, we go live on all the channels and play video games for a couple of hours. So we do our after party. And then on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. is Satanist Sunday, and that's where my wife takes over and she does her show. And she plays video games or whatever she wants to do.
I have to check this out.
She's fantastic. She's funny. And she's so great. She's literally sitting like right behind the camera. So like,
hi.
Yes, I'm talking about. Do you want to come say hi to everybody? No, she's not. She's not ready. But we're gonna be live. She's got to get ready because like in an hour and 8 minutes we're going live. But we're also now available as an audio podcast on iTunes. Progressive Liberal on iTunes. That's
not like that link in the description. By the way, guys, I do have links to his YouTube and his Twitter, anyways, which you could probably end up finding his audio links there. Anyway. Yeah,
it's in all the things, and my mods are really good. But we just switched that over on iTunes, so it's not like the gaming stuff where it's just us playing games for 2 hours. But when we do like an official show or my interviews, like with you and Sarah Michelle, there's like 50 episodes available right now on iTunes. When you go to iTunes or Stitcher, it's available on Stitcher if you're on an Android device. And you can listen to the audio podcast of all the shows anytime you want. And that's just brand new. Like that's last week that just went live. I was so excited. I couldn't stop talking about it. I said to my wife, I was like, I'm on iTunes. Like, what is this? I have like 50 episodes on iTunes. What is going on? She's like, I know, it's crazy.
I'm going to be excited when I finally put our shit on Spotify.
Yeah. I looked at that, but you got to pay for it, right?
No. Well, if you want to be if you want to have people to be able to listen to your songs one after the other and not have to listen to one of your songs and 5 other songs,
right,
and then another one of your songs,
right,
then you have to pay. Otherwise, they throw you in a mix,
right,
like type music, right.
So anyway, we're now available as an audio podcast because a lot of people were asking for that. There were a lot of people that were saying, hey, I would pay more attention to your show if I could just listen to it instead of having to watch it. So now...
But you don't have to watch. You can put on the YouTube and just listen to it. I do that at work all the time.
When are you going to go on iTunes? When is it going to be on iTunes? When is it going to be? And I was like, okay, all right. Well,
fucking Apple people.
I know. Anywho, thank you again for having me on. I really do appreciate it.
Ethan, it's been a pleasure, man. Oh, hopefully it's okay to use your name.
Absolutely. Yeah. I use Progressive Liberal because that's what everybody just knows, because that's what my channel name is and everything. But yeah, you can just call me Ethan. It's fine.
Okay. One of my best friends that I had in Israel's name was Ethan. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, it's a great name.
It is. I'd agree.
It's a great name. And everyone who has it is just such a handsome, strong gentleman.
Let's not get carried away.
It's not.
I'm totally fucking with you. But anyways, yeah, dude, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on. This has been such a great conversation.
Thank you.
I know we really didn't delve much into a deconversion, but you had all that religiosity in your life anyway, so you had to deal with. So we talked about that.
Right.
And we got into other stuff, which is always good because I like, every once in a while to have something that's got a little bit different content, so people aren't going, oh, geez, this again,
right?
And then everything starts to sound the same, and so I try to have other things involved in these conversations. So it was fantastic that we did that.
Absolutely.
Anyways, guys. Oh,
Tony just reminded me of something. One last thing. Calling me soy boy. So I've made this promise to my audience, and I'm supposed to bring it up here to cement it. So when we play our video games, we get people come in that are trolls. And this guy came in one night and called me a soy boy cuck libtard. So I've promised everyone that if I ever get to 10,000 subscribers, I'm going to get a tattoo on my wrist. It's a soy boy cuck libtard. Yes. So
if I ever get 10,000 subscribers, I'll probably be dead by then.
I know, right? I was like, well, if you ever get 10,000 subscribers, I'm like, sure, okay, yeah. It's never going to, it will never happen.
Don't say it'll never happen, because a lot of people feel that way. Like when I talked to Jimmy, Mr. Atheist, he said never in a million years did he think his channel was going to boom the way it did. So it can happen, man. It can happen.
I mean, I hope so. We're at 314, I think. So, which is pretty cool. I'm trying to get to 500 by the end of the year. That's my goal.
That's good.
December. Yeah.
And it's an achievable goal too.
I think so. So.
Yeah, I think any other channels that you can get on helps with that too, because people are going to see you that aren't familiar with you, and they go, I like this guy, I'm going to go sub or whatever.
Well, hopefully, or I hate this guy so little,
so I want to sub and see what other kind of moron he's going to talk about.
I love laughing at morons on the internet, so this guy seems like a great moron to laugh at.
I feel that. Speaking of morons, Bible Belt Atheist just showed up into my stream as usual, right when we're about to end. Well, so if any of you guys haven't subscribed to Progressive Liberals channel, the ProLib Show, go and fucking do that, because this is really, other than him popping in on the odd show like this, the only place you're going to see his awesomeness is on that show, along with Mikey and along with his wife's show on the Sundays. So there you go. That's the channel that you want to sub to if you're interested in that kind of thing.
Thanks, sir.
Other than that, Ethan, man, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you today. I'm glad you agreed to come on, because I've had so much fun, and hopefully you did as well.
I did.
And having karaoke near infants in the background, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah. She finally turned that off. She's back to coloring.
Oh, awesome. Coloring is good.
Yeah.
Hone those artistic skills.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, we are going to jump into an after party shortly after this. I'm going to go do my usual, have a quick smoke and a pee, because you only rent this stuff. You don't get to keep it.
That's right.
So I will have a link for anyone that would like to join Ethan and myself after this for the after party. It should be within 10 minutes or so. So anyways, if you know my group and you're a part of it and you do want to join in, look for a link there. If you're not a member of my group, then please hit me up on Twitter and I'll do my best to get you involved. I know that Mikey's coming in. He wants
cool. Yeah, I got to run to the store, so I just have to run up the street and back. But it shouldn't take more than 10 or 15 minutes. So.
Okay. All right, man. Thanks again for joining me, and thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Bye, everybody. It's been a pleasure. And thanks, everyone, for hanging out with us. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Remember, if you guys do like what I do and you want to help support me, I have links in the description box below for both my PayPal and also my Amazon wish list. So until next time, guys, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge.
That's right.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, man.